Okay, I'm back again, telling more stories. Something I've been meaning to do for some time is talk about the McMartin Preschool trial and that disaster and witch hunt, and that I call it. It's like debacle. I don't know what you want to call it. Amazingly, there are still some people that believe that the McMartins and the people that went to trial were guilty. They were not. They were. It was a giant witch hunt, and unfortunately, that whole thing sparked a witch hunt across the country. They called it Satanic Panic. Now, this happened back in the 80s. I had actually ended up with like a connection to it in that, I live in the South Bay, so Manhattan Beach is not far away at all. But back in the early 80s, I worked for a place called Stewart Jackson Sprinklers. I was their accountant. And Knowlton Jackson was the owner of it, and I was there for about maybe a year and a half or something. So what happened was it was all over the news, this McMartin Preschool thing, and everybody thought that these people were horrible, evil people. If you saw the news back then, it's like you thought, everybody was pretty much convinced that these people had done horrible things to kids. And what I found out was one day when they were having it on the news and stuff, there were originally a number of defendants, because basically it was the McMartin family. It was, let me get all the names here. It was, on March 22nd, 1984, Virginia McMartin, Peggy McMartin Buckey, Peggy McMartin Buckey, Ray Buckey, Ray's sister Peggy Ann Buckey, and teachers Mary Ann Jackson, Betty Rader, and Babette Spittler. So basically it was anybody that worked there at the school. It's like it's like I'm gonna make myself a note here, but anyway, so at some point they expanded it to originally it was 115 counts, and then expanded it to 321 counts of child abuse involving 48 kids. So anyway, I was sitting in bed, after I'd stopped working for Knowlton Jackson Sprinklers. I went to, I was laying in bed watching TV, and the news report was on about it again. And they were actually talking to a couple of teachers and stuff, one of the reporters. And I sat up in bed. It's like, holy crap. It's like I know one of those women. It's like I knew Mary Ann Jackson. It's like she was Knowlton Jackson's wife at Stewart Jackson Sprinklers. And, I just couldn't believe it. It's like, she's one of the defendants, and then I remembered, I didn't know her very well, because she would come in once in a great while into the office and talk to us a little bit, and a really nice lady, and this was an older couple too, so, and her and her husband, anyway, she it's like she was a good, decent person. When I saw that, and it's like, I go, there's something wrong. There's no way she would do something like that. There's just no way. I knew there was something very, very wrong there. And then the next day, it's like I still knew Doris Gifford, who was running basically the office. She did sales calls and stuff. So she was still working there, and I called, and she gave me the whole story, the whole shebang, and everything, what happened and everything. And basically, they had her attorney and stuff. The McMartins, anyway, so that was kind of my connection to it. I knew something was very wrong. Actually, to this day, there's still people that think that that they did this, and they're really wrong. It's like there were two trials, a couple of trials. The initial one, it's like, and then they were found either like not guilty, or they were just, it's like there wasn't enough to charge them, after the first trial and stuff. So, but it ruined everybody that was involved in it. All these people that were falsely accused, it ruined them financially, and they really had problems struggling afterwards. And then there was no, I believe there was like a civil suit, some years later, but they didn't get anything for the civil suit, and that's really too bad. there were people. It was like, it's almost like it was a conspiracy. There were different people involved in it. It started with a crazy woman, 1983, Judy Johnson, a mother, one of the kids. Reported to the police that her son had been sodomized by her estranged husband and also by McMartin teacher Ray Buckey. And that's how it all started with. And it turned out, she was a nutcase. And it's like, it was probably, if there was any abuse or anything, it was done by her ex-husband or whatever. So, anyway, so and then it expanded from there, and it's like the different people that were involved that had that are to blame for this are like I'm gonna try and name all of them. It's like first it was Judy Johnson, Wayne Sachs, who was a reporter for Channel 7 News, ABC News, and the bitch from Key McFarland, the bitch from Children's Institute International. She had a lot to do with it. Also, I'm looking at my notes and stuff, and it's like, it's like the other, entity, and one of the other entities was the Manhattan Beach Police Department had a lot to do with it, because they sent out a letter and stuff. So it's like, to this day, whenever anybody mentions the Manhattan Beach Police Department, I kind of just, I know all those people that were involved in it, and are long gone off that police force and stuff. But it just makes me mad that they were involved too, because they sent out a letter. Yeah, it's like, it's on here. Police. It's like, dear parent, this is conducting a criminal investigation involving child molestation. Ray Buckey, an employee of Virginia McMartin's Preschool, was arrested on September 7th, 1983 in this apartment. Inquiry. So they did an inquiry and stuff. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there was like it's anyway. So it's like they sent that out, and that alerted all the other parents and stuff. So then they started thinking that their kids were molested, and then Key McFarland got involved in it and was interviewing them and stuff and putting things in their head. Also the district attorney, LA district attorney Ira Reiner. There's another jackass. It's just like this horrible thing, and none of it was true. There's probably still some people that still believe that it happened, but it did not, I understand that. It's like, but they, there were a number of entities and people that, and there were these bizarre accusations, allegations. That one of the, it's like one kid identified actor Chuck Norris as one of the abusers. He was not. There was, let's see, there was, I'm trying to find some of the other allegations, crazy allegations in here. But there were, allegations that things were flying through the air and stuff, and, it's like, then there was like, what happened was, it's like they, after the first trial, which was in '87, it's like they presented medical witnesses and so on, like they were all like either dismissed or just found not guilty. I think they were acquitted in 1990, and then what happened was this is it's like it's and then everything was dry, and the only people that were then retried were Ray Buckey, and I believe it was his mother, and they just Ray Buckey. What's really sad about Ray Buckey is that he spent 5 years in the county jail or the city jail for something he didn't do. So, and he, it's like, I also know somebody that also knew Ray Buckey really well, because this woman's mother was the private investigator for him. So, and anyway, so Wayne Sachs, it's like, and eventually everything got, it's like they had the last trial was like a hung jury. and on a few of the counts or something, and they finally just let it go after the second trial, and that was Ray Buckey's trial, and so they finally let him go. There's two. There's a couple of things. It's like there's a really Wikipedia does a pretty good job of putting together the information, so you can always look at the Wikipedia as of right now. It's like hopefully they don't change it or anything, unless there's some updates or serious updates or anything. So anyway, so they did that. I always thought that there should be like there was like a movie. And then there was like I can't think of who was playing the lead character. He played one of the attorneys. Anyway, he there was a movie about it. There was HBO produced something about it, and so did Oxygen. But I always felt like this would make a great limited series, so they could dig into the because you can't tell the whole story in like one movie, So. So I just thought that this should be like, I wish somebody would pick it up as a limited series, and do a good job on, explaining what happened and, telling the whole story and telling what really happened. But, I really, have, I have, just a disdain for some of these people that were involved in this witch hunt, and just, and just prosecuting people that did not do anything, and like I said, it's like the bad thing is that it's spread across the country, and I know there were a lot of cases where they went after people, preschool teachers that didn't do anything. As far as I know, I don't think any of them were actually guilty. Some of them actually went to prison. They got out, and then they eventually got out, usually early. I think there might be still somebody in prison for one of these witch hunts, across the country. Last I heard, I think there was somebody still in prison for something he didn't do. But hopefully eventually they'll get out and stuff. But it's like it really damaged some of these people's lives really bad. So I think Ray Buckey actually. I think he actually got along, recovered pretty well from it, considering everything, and he was able to move on. From my understanding, he was able to move on with his life, which is a good thing, So I'm glad of that. So anyway, I just needed to talk about it, and then the fact that I actually knew one of the original defendants.